In terms of this weekend, the Camogie All-Ireland Semi Finals take place in Croke Park in a double header. Cork will face Waterford and Galway will take on Kilkenny. So starting with Cork versus Waterford, Waterford put on an impressive performance ahead of Limerick, and they look like they could be a threatening outfit to Cork.
They do, Niamh. They look like they're improving, which is what you want at this time of the year. The teams have met in the group stages before, and Cork won by 6 points. But it was quite competitive, and we saw at the weekend, what Waterford can do in an offensive sense. They've always had good forwards, but I was really taken by how their movement and pace, like how the patterns have evolved, and they work so well to create space. And then they have the forwards in the likes of Beth Carton and Niamh Rocket, who are both all-stars. But Abby Flynn is another really good young player. She's only 20 and she's in her third season now, an ex-underage basketball international, and she plays in the National League in basketball in the sort of off-camogie season as well. But she's really flourishing. And then you have Lorraine Bray, a skipper in the middle of the field. She looks like you couldn't leave her out in the field. She's really small, but she's hardy and so skillful. And they just that worked to a T, and did the damage done in the first half. So certainly Cork are a different test, but they look like they're evolving, and they've gotten to a semi-final for the first time since 1959, and they'd reached the four previous quarterfinals. So it was really important step for them. So they're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, it certainly sounds like there's a few dangerous players there that you're talking about. In terms of the group stages, Cork were Group 1 winners. Does that mean anything at this stage, or is it a whole new task ahead?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one because we have this conversation every year, and it's sort of the same in the provincial championships in hurling. Is the gap a break? Is it a benefit, the extra break, or are you better off to have had a game? And I guess it depends who you are. Cork are sort of accustomed to navigating that. Although they are a team in a bit of transition as well, with some, new management, obviously, and Matthew Toomey and Davy Fitzgerald and new young players coming through. But so they would have been expected to top the group. But it hasn't been a flawless campaign for them, and they lost our last game against Tipperary, even though they were missing a couple of players. They are going to be missing, by the looks of things, Aisling Thompson through suspension, which would be monumental loss, and Orla Cronin stepped away after a lot of injury issues, and she's a huge loss as well. So I think Waterford will view it as an opportunity. They need everything to go right. They have had the game, so the thing about the game is you need to recover quickly. It was very hot. Avoid injuries, and if that's the case, they should be buoyant. They should think we can get at them in terms of our forwards, and the test might be, can Iona Heffernan and co keep it tight at the other end against the likes of Amy O'Connor, who's a bit of a goal machine, Saoirse McCartan, who will be back from injury, who's joined Cork from down last year. She works down in Cork, so if they can do that, this will be a real cracker of a game, because the spaces in Croke Park will suit the Waterford forwards, but then they will suit the likes of Amy O'Connor and that as well.
So from the Cork perspective, who are 3 or 4 players we should be certainly watching out for and will be a danger for Waterford?
Yeah, up top, Amy O'Connor and probably Katrina Mackey have plenty of experience and a real goal threat and plenty of pace. Katrina Mackey is there more than 10 years now, a slew of all-stars, and she just seems to be playing as well as ever. Hannah Looney is a huge player coming back after missing the league, working in New York. She came on for the footballers towards the end of their defeat. The ladies footballers in the championship has been in now a little while, and certainly with Aisling Thompson gone, she's there's going to be huge responsibility on her. Maybe defensively, then you're looking at Laura Tracy at centre back, who missed that last game against Tipperary. Again, is only around 26 or 7, but seems to have been around forever and is a real leader. And, she might be picking up, for argument's sake, Beth Carton, and that could be worth the price in alone, that battle.
And in terms of the match, like what aspects of the game do you think Waterford will be looking to dominate?
Well, it's sort of, you tend to come up with the same answers for all these questions, for all these teams, because the way Camogie is really caught up with the evolution that's been taking place in the other codes and in hurling, for argument's sake, in the last few years. And so it is more tactical in nature. They do tend to play possession games more and try to mind the ball and create opportunities. Really, to do that, you need to be in top in the middle third for your between half backs, midfield, and half forwards. And Waterford are strong in that area. Cork have traditionally been strong in that area.
Mm-hmm.
It is a bit different without Aisling Thompson there, because she's a huge presence, a physical presence, very good hurler, brilliant athlete up and down the field. And Cork are favourites. They would have been stronger favourites, but I think that gives Waterford, definitely a little more hope.
Yeah. For anybody that doesn't know what happened with Aisling Thompson's suspension, she got a straight red card. So what exactly happened?
Well, do you know, the information is a lot hasn't come out in public or anything like that. We haven't come out. We haven't gotten an official, but there was news story there in the Examiner, I think. So it appears that there was an exchange between Aisling and the referee after the game, and the referee issued a card, and the news sort of came out there was at the end of last week that Aisling had gotten a 2-game suspension. So that means that even as it stands, if Cork wins, she misses the All-Ireland final as well. I don't know, but I would, the way these things go now, Niamh, you'd imagine probably an appeal is going to happen unless she's banged to rights caught, but I'm sure they're looking at it. But that's what occurred, and she got a 2-game suspension.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, she's certainly a talented player, so it'll be interesting to see how Cork go on without her. In terms of Galway and Kilkenny, would it be an upset if Kilkenny topple Galway?
It probably would, but it shouldn't be. They're nearly twins of the hurlers, the Kilkenny Camogie team. At the start of the season, they were missing 2 generational talents, like 2 of the greatest defenders of the last 10 years retired, Colette Dormer and Davina Tobin. Megan Farrell, who's been one of the top midfielder stroke centre backs for the last 7 or 8 years, went to Australia, a previous captain, All-Ireland winning captain, I think. They lost the 2 Doyle sisters with serious injuries. Kellyanne suffered her 3rd cruciate, and Niamh Dealy's just come back from injury. So basically they were missing 5 of their starting team last year, and that's in the back of losing like players like Anne Dalton, who's one of the greatest ever played, and Anna Farrell in the last couple of years. So you were just thinking, right, this year, bit of transition, fair play to the management for staying on, and but they'll fall off the pace a bit. They've been scoring very heavily through the group stages, and then in that final group game against Galway in Athenry, which was, it just sparked the attention of people. There's nearly 1,300 tickets sold, I think, in Athenry, which would be a huge amount of tickets for a group Camogie Championship game. The sun was out, huge crowd, and it was an absolute belter of a game. And Kilkenny were actually winning till just about extra time. Anya Kane hit the equaliser. And if she hadn't, Kilkenny would have gone straight through to the semi-finals rather than Galway. It was only score differential in the end. As it happens, they get there and they meet each other again. But that day showed us that Kilkenny are more than capable of winning in All-Ireland. So all bets are off.
So what does Kilkenny need to do to book their place in the final?
Kilkenny, yeah. I mean, again, Galway are really athletic and quick, particularly from the middle towards the front. So they will need to, if they can't stop the flow of possession into the likes of Siobhan McGrath, can't stop the likes of Aoife Donoghue getting on the ball. Niamh Kilkenny even, Niamh can be really quiet, and then in 5 minutes she can have 3 points on the board. She's just such an economical player. when they beat Galway in the All-Ireland in 2020, the first COVID All-Ireland, they had a huge game in the middle of the field. Grace Welsh was playing there. She's back at full back now. And, that's going to be a huge test. There's a new midfield pairing for Kilkenny, and against the likes of either Aoife Donoghue or Niamh Kilkenny or Niamh Hannafy, that's a massive test. But if they can get on top there, again, they have the forwards. Miriam Walsh is playing the best hurling of her career. And once she gets the ball into her hand, she's just so hard to stop. In the quarterfinal last week, she won the penalty, scored a goal. And obviously Denise Gall is a former hurler of the year and will shoot the lights out. They need to get the ball. So stop the ball going one way, win the ball going the other. That's why, you don't need you bring experts on, so-called experts on, and they come out with the obvious. But really, that's what it is. That's what it is, yeah.
And in terms of expectation, will there be that weight of expectation on Galway, given that they were former champions?
Yeah, and they have never in their history managed it 2 in a row, which is a big thing. And I thought it was brilliant management by Colin Murray within minutes of winning the All-Ireland last year, because a lot of these girls have been around a long while. A lot of them would be in their 30s. Which isn't old, but given inter-county camogie players, particularly of that generation, probably started at 16, 17. They have a lot of camogie played. A lot of them were there in 2013, 2015, and all the way through. But they have now won 2 of the last 3 All-Irelands. They are the most consistent team of the last few years. But he said straight after the last All-Ireland, you're not considered a great team unless you win 2 in a row. And he was actually putting the challenge up to his own players. Don't even dream of retiring. And so they're all back, and this is what they're here for. Yeah. So I think they're very focused on going all the way, but they have 2 huge games to play again.
Absolutely. And do you think that we might see some retirements from them after the end of this season?
Listen, it is hard to say. But, because the next thing, maybe Colin might come out and say, oh, you're one of the all-time greats if you win it 3 in a row. So it's hard to know.
He's just looking to go down in history, as much as possible.
Well, that's the thing, it's like, the Limerick hurlers, the same discussion is ongoing now,
Yeah. Are
they happy with 4 and 5, 3 in a row? Or, are they going to go for 5 in a row? They certainly have the age profile, but a lot of the Galway girls have been there a long time. Some of them are after getting married now, and it's just, I'm not don't want to be putting words in anyone's mouth, but I guess at some stage life becomes the next stage in your priority, but they're certainly good enough, fit enough to keep going for another few years. And that's the other thing about camogie. The condition, the level of conditioning and all of that has improved so much. And with the change of the rules, it has caused an absolute spiral in the caliber of play and the standard of play in the last couple of years, now that you can have a bit of physicality. But, they're in really good nick and really good condition now. So it'll only be their decisions. It won't be, from what I've seen, that anyone needs to walk away.
Yeah, absolutely. And sure, look, what I'd say is we're seeing more and more moms in sport and leading the way. And if the men can do it, the women can too. So how competitive have you thought that this championship has been this year?
I saw some people were disappointed in the one-sided nature of the 2 quarterfinals, and that is understandable. But listen, we have that again in football. We have it often. We've had it in hurling. So this is nothing new. And then, the code is developing, so you have gaps through the tiers within tiers. But the group stages were phenomenal, absolutely brilliant. They showed the absolute benefit of, groups and round robin stages and leaving the provincial thing out of it. The first group in particular, a really good team. Clare were at the bottom of the group. A really good team like that got to the Munster final, and that drew 2 games, brought Waterford to the last puck of the ball. Brianna O'Regan had to make a great save. or they were losing and not qualifying. And here they are in an All-Ireland semi-final. Tipperary beat Cork in the last game, only lost one game and didn't qualify. So every team bar one was in with a chance in that group. The other group, by its nature, because two of the top three were in it, was a little more lopsided. But again, below the top two, the battle for that third space was phenomenal. And that's what we have in any sport. That's what we have in the Premiership. You have, top tier, and then you have people battling. And but what you're seeing is the standard rising above. Tip made a really good go of challenging that top three. They were unlucky this year. Orla Dwyer is in Australia, unavailable. Karen Kennedy injured, and Roisin Howard, got a big suspension, which ruled her out. And they were very, very unlucky. But that's the nature of it. It's unforgiving, and it's week after week. And certainly, I think it's improving and getting better all the time. You see Antrim coming through and making an impact straight away. So it's great to see a couple of Ulster teams in there as well. So good, and a good breadth of teams,
Very good. And in terms of predictions, with Cork versus Waterford, what's the expectation?
For all that, I give Waterford a great chance. The facts are that, it's always, it has been for the last number of years, either Cork, Kilkenny or Galway in an All-Ireland final. And while I do think Cork are sort of still feeling their way, maybe under new system, new management, I also feel that they've probably been holding a bit holding a bit back, doing as much as they need to. And even with Aisling Thompson gone, Amy Neal will be back, Laura Tracy will be back. I just think as well they have real experience of playing in Croke Park, and I think they should pull through. But it could be a really good game.
Very good. We'll look forward to it anyways. And then in terms of Galway and Kilkenny, what do you think is going to happen there?
Yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to this game, and more than anything, that's what it is. And when you're talking about a 1 or 2 point game, predictions wouldn't be with any certainty at all, and often I refuse to give them. But having said that, I do think that Galway are a team on a mission, and in that group game, as brilliant as it was, I cannot imagine that neither team was really showing their full hand either, knowing that there was a good chance they would meet again. I just think Galway in the last 10 or 15 minutes, as they did in the league final, the All-Ireland final, they have great depth on the bench, and that could swing it.
Very good. Well, look, I'm looking forward to the games anyway, and then we'll have the final to look forward to after that as well.